Hello, my name is Professor John Benjamin, and this is Game Design at West Virginia Wesleyan College. And today we'll be introducing you to Blender. So I want to talk about 3D models for their games. All right, cool. So here is the interface. Let's talk a little bit about that. It's nice. It's set up much better than it used to be. And so it's set up just like Unreal Engine 4, really very similar. So we have a menu bar up here, just like Adobe products. We've got a toolbar over to our right. And we do not have our content manager here. We have a timeline because Blender is an animation program as well. And then finally we have our outliner, just like in Unreal Engine 4, and our properties down here. So it's a pretty straightforward setup. The navigation is quite a lot different than in Unreal Engine, and it's actually a little bit different than Maya as well. So this, you can change the settings, but I don't think it's that different, so it's fine to leave it. So what we're going to do is it's predominantly moving around is used through your middle mouse. And so you can scroll to zoom, click on the middle mouse to rotate. And then here's the one that's a little tricky to remember because it's different than Unreal. Just hold shift and a middle mouse to pan. That's just it. Again, scroll to rotate, scroll to zoom, middle mouse click to rotate, and shift middle mouse to pan. All right, cool. Let's talk about some other ways to do that. There's always multiple ways to do things. So first, if you want to zoom, you can come over to the zoom tool and you click on it and then you drag. So that's pretty cool. And then there's the move tool. Just click and you can move around. So that's if you didn't have a keyboard, you have this option over here as well. This is interesting. Here's your camera view. So if you click on that, there's how when you render, that's what your camera is going to see. And so if you scroll out a little bit, you can see your camera there. And then here's your light. So very similar to Unreal Engine. And then here in our outliner, you can see we've got our collection, camera, cube, and light. Now here's a really interesting feature, and I haven't used Maya since graduate school. I don't recall it having something like this. Maybe it does now, but I think it's pretty excellent. So what I'm going to do to really illustrate orthographic view in Blender is I'm going to go ahead and select this. Here's my selection tool. And I'm just going to Control-C, Control-V, and then I'm going to go to the Move tool here. I'm just going to move that out. Again, I'm just going to do it twice. Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste. All right, I got 3 cubes. So here we are in perspective, right? That's where we want to be. It's 3D. But there's a really cool thing. You can come over here and you can change from perspective to orthographic projection. And so this is pretty cool, right? So there's no longer any perspective. Everything's in the same size. So this way you can get things aligned up and make better measurement decisions to switch between those two. So I think that's pretty fantastic. Okay, great. So I'm going to actually delete these two. Just going to select them here. Delete, delete. Let's talk about how to manipulate your object. That makes sense, right? Okay, so if you click on it, and I have the move tool selected, so just like in Unreal Engine, you just click on the different arrows to move it around. Click on the center arrow to freely move it. But what's really nice is you can just hit G to move as well, and then you can just freely move it around with the G key, and then just click when it's ready where you want it. Same thing here with rotate. We can use our rotation tool, which again is very much just like Unreal Engine. Or you can just hit R, and then you have this rotation tool. Now, if you hit R once, it rotates in 3D, and hit R again, and it rotates in 3D. It'll rotate slower, so you can be a little more accurate. All right, cool. And then lastly, let's do scale. Scale just the same way as we did before. You can also, of course, manipulate things over here in your properties, so we can move things and rotate and change the scale over here. And then if we hit S, we can just scale this way as well. Same thing, hold down Shift just to be a little more accurate. All right, great. And so that's scale, rotate, and move. Very similar to Unreal Engine, I think you'll find. Okay, so now let's talk about how to model, because that's really what we're doing in here. That's what Unreal Engine doesn't really let us do. It's not what it's for. This is for creating models. All right, so to do that, I'm going to go ahead and... So the easiest way to get to editing mode, which is where we'll model, is to hit Tab. So just think about the Tab key, but just notice up here, all you're doing is you're changing the mode when you hit the Tab key from Object to Edit. And if we click on this drop down, you can see there's Object, Edit, and then we have Sculpt, Vertex, weight paint and texture paint, and we'll talk about those a little later. But primarily, you're always going to be switching between edit and object mode. All right, so let's take a look at how we can manipulate this object. So the first thing we want to point out is these really amazing tools. I think if you have a number pad, like right now I'm on a laptop, it's really frustrating, especially with Adobe. It's the same way. If you don't have a number pad, you're really at a disadvantage. The number pad provides you a lot of key commands that will really speed up your workflow. But I'm going to just go ahead and I have a laptop right now too without a keyboard. So I will talk about them though. Let's see. They are, it is control. If you hold control and 1, 3, and 0, I believe, you can quickly get through these different options. But for now, we're going to have to click, and that really does slow you down your efficiency. But okay, let's go look up here by edit mode. So we've got vertex mode, edge select, face select. Okay, so let's start with face select. All right, so just select a face. There you go, the whole face. And if you want, you can go hit G. You can move it around. Or you could hit the face and go here to your move tool and just move it straight up and down, or left and right. Okay, that's G, and of course you can scale it like so. All right, and then you can rotate it as well. All right, and then you can use the edge tool. So here I have the edge tool selected, and I can select an edge, and then I can just go ahead and move out just that edge. All right, and then lastly is vertices. So I can select just one vertice, and I can manipulate that. Or I can shift select 2 vertices. And there you have it. And of course we can rotate and scale. All right, excellent. So that's really important. So we have vertices, edges, and faces that we can move between. Another really important thing to do is to change between wireframe and 3D view. Okay, so let's switch to wireframe. And why this is cool is because if I go to face, you can see each face now has a little dot. So I can click the face on the opposite side of where I can see. All right, so I can select that. And let's say I want to rotate it. I can do it from over here rather than sort of rotating around every time if I was in shade mode. So if I wanted to get this other side over here, of course I just have to rotate. It isn't a big deal, but in certain complicated shapes, it might be easier for me to just go ahead and select it like so. All right, okay, so that's how we manipulate vertices, edges, and faces. I think the next thing I'm going to show you is some of these tools down here. So when we're in edit, let's talk about how to extrude and insert a face and how to bevel. We'll talk about the other ones a little bit later. So let's go ahead to extrude. So if I select this face, I can hit E and I can extrude it. Pretty amazing. I can hit E again and extrude it again. And then of course I can hit G, I can move it down, or I can scale it like so. So that's pretty amazing. That's E, that's extrude. You can also just of course click on it right here. But another really amazing thing you can do here is I can select this face and I can insert a face. So I can change the size of it like so, and then go back to the move tool, and I can move it out or extrude it this way. So that's pretty handy. And then lastly is this wonderful bevel. And so now I can bevel that in like so. So that's a pretty fantastic thing we can do there. All right, so let's extrude and insert face and bevel. The next thing I want to talk about is an edge loop. So this is probably one of the most, after the tab key, you're going to use Control R a lot. So let's try that. This thing's getting a little weird, so I'm actually just going to delete this here. I'm going to go back to object mode and just hit delete. And I'm going to create another box. So that's Shift A, and you get this little menu here, Shift A, and I'm just going to come down here and create another cube. All right. So now it's really amazing. I love this tool. Control R. You're going to do this a lot. Control R. You've got to be in edit mode. Pardon me. Control R. And this is how we subdivide. It's called an edge loop. which is really funny. So here I can divide the cube in half, and if I scroll, I can divide it in multiple numbers. So I'm going to divide it by 3 and click, and then I can position these 3 if I want, and then click when I'm done. And now the cube is subdivided. And so for instance, I can now, let's say I select the face here, and if I want to scale it, scale, there, nice and gentle. All right, I can do so. All right, I can do the same thing, let's say, with this face. And I can extrude it, hit E, there we are. So that's how we can easily subdivide a surface, is Control R. And so I can do it the other way as well. So Control R, and I can scroll up to make several, but why don't I just make one? I can position it, let's say right here, or I can just scale it. There we go. That looks pretty interesting, like some sort of, I don't know, jar. I don't know what that is, a Pokemon. Oh yeah, let's make it a Pokemon. So what I'll do is I'll just go Control R, right, and I'll subdivide up here. All right, and then I will just go and maybe make that a little rounder. But then up here, I'm going to select this face, and then I'm just going to go and move that down. Here we got like a little Pokecat. I don't know, it's cat. Okay, cool. All right, so that is, what did we talk about there? Oh yeah, how to subdivide, how to edge loop. So Control R, very, very important. So you can rotate by clicking down your middle mouse, obviously, but there's also, you'll notice that moves with this little tool up here. So you can click up here and rotate as well. But what's really fantastic about this tool is you can go to any side that you want really quickly. So if I want to go to flat X, I just click flat X. If I click X again, I go to the other side. Same thing with Y. Front, front, and back. It just kind of rotates it real quickly, nice and flat. Same thing with Z. Top, back, bottom. Or that's top, anyhow. So pretty helpful, and you'll see why in just a moment. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go back to object mode, or stay in object mode, delete the kitty, and we're going to bring in a reference image. So typically that's what you want to do. Just like if you were sketching a still life or some object, you'd want to look at it in real life, a little reference. So that's what we're going to do here. And I have a file ready for you in Canvas. You can download it. Or you can just go on the internet and find a picture of an ordinary axe. Either one would be fine. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm just going to Shift A. And we are going to go and get an image. You can do a background image or a reference. Background is if you're doing an animation and you just want a background image. You don't want a full like 3D background. You want something to be in the background. But we want a reference image. So we're just using it to draw with. Okay, and I'm going to look for my, it's an axe PNG. And there it is. Now, here's something important. So here it came in a little funny. It's a little not lined up. All right, so I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this axe. And so what I want to be in is, in this case, I'm going to be an X. All right, I want it to be flat. All right, so I'm going to go again. I'm going to go Shift A and Image and Reference. I'm going to get my axe. And there it is, lined up with the X-axis now. So I can rotate, but you see it's all nice and lined up. And if I want to go back to X, I just click X, and there we are. So now we can start using it as a reference to model. Okay, so it's kind of roundish. Let's start with the handle. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to Shift A. And then I'm going to go ahead and look for a mesh. And I'm going to start with a cylinder. All right. And I think I'm going to rotate first. I'm just going to hit R. I'm going to kind of line it up there. Then I'm going to hit S to scale. All right, then G to move it. And then I'm going to scroll to zoom in. Shift click middle mouse to move. All right, I'm going to scale again. All right, G to move. All right, looks pretty close. I like that. All right, and now what we're going to do is we're going to elongate it. And I'm going to do that by selecting a surface. So I can go back to edit mode, and I can rotate here. And I could click on this surface, and then just go to my move tool. But watch what happens if I try to do it that way. So this is really important. I'm going to undo that. I am going to go again to X mode. I have that face selected, but I'm going to go to X, so it's right on the side. And then I'm just going to hit G, and I'm going to drag it down. So it's nice and straight now. So I'll drag it down to there, I think. All right, and yeah, that looks pretty good. And if I want to, I can also scale. I can just make it a little wider. All right, and then I'm going to extrude it because I have this little handle bottom part here. So I'm going to make sure I have it selected, and then I'm going to go back to E, so it goes straight, and then I'm going to hit E for extrude. I'm just going to pull that out and click, and then I'm going to go to G to move it up like so. Voila, looks good. And you can rotate it around and see how nice that looks. Okay, so now I'm going to move up here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to extrude because it kind of starts to bend back up here. But remember, you've got to be in X or else it'll get crooked. But first, if you want, you can select in 3D. You can make sure you have the face fully selected. But now I'm going to hit X again, and I'm going to hit E, and I'm going to drag it up to about there. Click to execute, G to move. And I think I'm going to scale that a little bit. It gets a little wider up there. All right, now the really cool part is I'm going to Control R, which you're going to do an awful lot of. So Control R to do an edge loop, and I probably want a couple here. Maybe 3. That looks good. Yeah, right there is good. So I'm going to click to execute, and then I can move them if I want. That's fine. And then I can scale them both. They're still selected right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and scale and sort of make the center part just a little bit more bulgy. But I'm kind of thinking this one, yeah, I think I've got to make this one down here a little thinner. So what I need to do is to select that surface. I'm in edge mode right now. I can lasso it. It's one way to do it. But you have to kind of roll it around here and make sure you get them all. So then I'm going to shift lasso the bottom. You still got to kind of make sure, so I didn't quite get that one. I'm going to shift click on that edge there. Got to make sure you got them all. Oh, and there's another one I didn't quite get. Right there. And I think I didn't get that one either. Okay, looks like I got them all now. Okay, cool. All right. So now I can go ahead and scale those, and just want to make that a little bit more narrow. And then I think I'm going to move it up a little bit like that. Yeah, looks good. Okay. All right, so there we have our shot. There's one more thing I want to do though. It's it's round, and I want to make it more squashed. So to show you another way to manipulate things, you can come right over here to the cylinder. You have the object selected, and here in my object properties, I'm going to go ahead and scale X. There we go. That looks pretty good. It's always good to have nice round numbers, so I'm just going to make this, instead of 0.10101, I'm just going to make it 0.1. Cool. Now let's go ahead and make the top part. Not sure what that's called, the blade. All right, so let's go ahead and create a cube. All right, so Shift A. Shift A, pardon me. And I'm going to make a cube. There it is. All right, it's quite large. So let's go ahead and scale it first. I'm going to go to X here. All right, zoom in, and then I'm going to rotate. All right, and now remember, you have to be in X or your G will move it all over the place, but I'm just going to go to G and move it up here. Okay, let's make it a little longer. And actually here, again, I'm going to make it skinnier, and I can do that again. I'm just going to scale X here. Whoa, whoops. I got them both selected, I guess. Whoops. All right, back to X, G, move it up, whoop, G. Well, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this face, right? Going to go up, there we go, select that face. And then I'm going to go back to X, of course, because I want to just move it forward nice and smoothly. So I hit G, and I'm just going to move it out like so. And then same thing, I'm going to select the back face, go back to X, and hit G, and just kind of move it out. All right, nice. And yeah, so I'm going to do the same thing. I think I'm going to make it a little taller. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to move this face out. Again, X, G. That looks pretty good. All right. All right, looks good. All right, so now we're going to Control R. We want to subdivide this so we can manipulate it more. So let's go ahead and Control R. And I want to going to subdivide it, let's see, like 3? 3 looks, does that look right? Yeah, then I'm going to move these back a little bit to line up with the wooden handle. Okay, that looks good. All right, and then I'm going to subdivide it again. Control R this way. Okay. All right, so a couple of things that I can do here is I can select these 2 back faces. I got to switch back to face. I want to scale these 2 down. So I want to go to the scale here, and I want to go to Y. Is it Y? No. Yeah, that'll do. And I'm just going to bring them in like so. That's what I want to do. Okay, that's better. All right, I'm going to do something a little bit different to the front here. Well, first I got to subdivide it again. Okay, let's do that. Control R, and I'm going to subdivide it this way, but maybe, yeah, I think 3 will do. Click and click. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and select this edge here. I have edge select, and I'm going to go ahead and select those 2 edges. Let me go to the move tool. And then I'm going to go to X. All right, I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to hit G because I want to move that edge up like so. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to lasso select that edge. Do I have edge? Yeah. And G. Oh, no, that's not right. I have edge. Okay, I got to select those edges though. There's 2 of them. Okay, and back to X, G, move that out like so, like a spider web. All right, select these 2, X, G, and lastly these 2, X and G. Oop. All right, that's very nice. That's just what I want. And it looks like these 2 look a little awkward as well. So when I click these 2, G, that looks better. Whoa. And X again, and G. There we are. Very nice. All right, just a couple more things and we'll be done with our hatchet here. Okay, we are going to merge vertices. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here because I want this to be a sharp edge. So I could squish them together, but in fact I want to get rid of a couple of vertices. So I'm going to merge them. So I'm going to start up here at the top. Make sure you go to vertices, vertices select, and I'm going to select the first center one here and then this outer one here. So both vertices are selected. I'm going to right click, merge vertices, and at first. Okay, and you can see now it's just one vertice. Now you have to, the one that you want it to merge to is the first one you select. So I'm going to select this first one again, and then the second one, right click, merge vertices at first. Same here. Merge vertices, and lastly down here. All right, I'm going to do the same on the other side. Remember, center first, then the outer one. Center, outer. All right, it's almost a hatchet. Now at this point, I'm going to go and turn off my image here. It's just an empty image. All right, we're going to do one more thing to end this tutorial, and we're going to subdivide or increase the subdivide the surface to make it smoother. All right, so to do that, it's really quite simple. All right, I'm going to select my cylinder here, and I am going to simply go down to here. No, pardon me, the wrench, which is modify properties. So over here in your properties, go to the wrench, which is modify properties, add modifier, and subdivision surface. Okay, and when it says 1, I'm just going to go make it 2. And so some funny things happened. It subdivided it. So now what I'm going to do here is make sure you're in edit mode. And I'm going to go ahead and Control R. So we'll start up here with the blade or the hatchet. So I'm going to Control R up here. And I'm going to go to the closest surface to the end, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag it out like so. And now I've got a sharp edge once again. I just have to click. Same thing here, just Control R. I'm going to bring this top one, click up, give it a kind of a, it still has a rounded edge, but it's a lot sharper. Click. Oop. And the same thing with the bottom. Control R, click down, click to execute. All right, we're going to need to do this, the back as well. Okay, right here, just click and drag and click. And now we're going to do the handle. Control R, find the last loop there. I'm going to click and drag that up. All right, that looks pretty natural. And let's go down to the bottom and do the same thing. So it's got this weird rounded thing happen, and we're just going to fix that. Okay, Control R and drag it out. All right. But it doesn't have any textures on it, and so that's what we're going to do in the next episode. We're going to make some raster images and map them to the surface. You can paint and color in Blender, but that information will not export to like a gaming program like Unity or Unreal Engine. You have to actually give it a raster image map, and that's what we'll do next time. So thanks for joining me, and hope you have a good day.